So let's say you've saved up $1 million for retirement and you just want to take that money and live like a king in Mexico for the rest of your life. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you how we can do that. And when I say live like a king, I don't mean that you're going to live like a mansion and have a house full of servants or anything like that. But more realistically, I think you could live in a nice home and have a housekeeper or maybe a chauffeur, maybe a personal assistant to run all your errands for you, things like that. So later on in the video, I'm going to give you some examples of how we can make $1 million last the rest of our life in Mexico. And before the end of this video, I'm going to tell you what I think is the single cheapest place in Mexico where you can have a very high quality of life at a really low price. So how are we going to make $1 million last the rest of our life, no matter our current age? Well, I'm going to go over a few options with you, but they all start with taking part of that money and buying a home, maybe between $100,000 to $400,000 to purchase a home. So why do I say purchase a home? Because then you have a place to live no matter what happens to the real estate market. Like if you're paying rent, well, yeah, it's going to be cheaper to start out with, but there's a lot of places in Mexico where rent prices have increased like crazy. For example, talking to some friends in Puerto Vallarta, they've had their rent double in the past few years. So I think it's important to buy a home with part of the money to prevent that from happening. In this example, I'm taking $200,000 to buy a home, and then I'm investing the rest, and then letting this money, the rest of it, work for me. So let's say you want something really passive. You don't want to do any work, you just want your money working for you. Well then, option one, we buy an index fund like VYMI. This is a Vanguard International Dividend Fund, and it's a collection of 1,200 of the biggest international companies that pay a reliable dividend. And why am I going international? Because you're getting a whole lot better value. The PE ratio of VYMI is less than 10, meaning that if all of these companies paid out 100% of their earnings to their shareholders, you would get your money back in less than 10 years. Whereas if you were to buy the S&P 500, for example, the PE ratio is over 25, meaning it would take 25 years to get your money back if the companies paid out all of their earnings to their shareholders. So you're getting a lot better value by going international right now than buying something like the S&P 500. And historically speaking, like if you look back on a chart of the S&P 500 and the PE ratio, whenever it's over 20, the market is typically overvalued and that's a bad time to buy. When it's under 10, that's a good time to buy. And then the historical average is a PE ratio of about 15. So if I want to buy the S&P 500, personally, I want that to be 15 or less, and you're getting a way better dividend yield by going with something like VYMI over here. The current dividend yield is at 4.69%. So 800,000 at 4.69%, you're looking at 37,500 a year or 3,100 a month. But I'm guessing you probably don't have all of your money in a tax-free account, so Uncle Sam is going to want his cut, and let's call that 25%. So after the government's 25% cut, you're left with only $2,345 a month. So are you going to live like a king in Mexico on $2,300 a month? No, but you will live a really comfortable life pretty much regardless of where you live in the country if your home is paid for. Now personally, I would want more than this. Now if I had $800,000 to invest, I want to get this yield higher than 4.69%. Granted, this is passive, so that's really great. However, I'm okay with putting in a little bit of work to increase this yield. So now let's go on to option two. It's similar to option one in that we're still putting $200,000 into our own home and then investing the other $8,000. And it's also similar to option one because we're taking $400,000 and putting that into VYMI. So that comes out pre-tax as $1,563 a month, that half of it is going to earn us. And then we're taking the other half and we're putting $400,000 into a rental property or multiple rental properties. And we're going to assume that that's going to earn us a conservative 8% a year. So that's $32,000 a year, or about $2,700 a month. We combine those two for a total of $4,230 a month. But don't forget about the government's 25%. And then we're left with about $3,200 per month. So $3,200 a month, that's going to allow you to live a lot more like royalty in Mexico than $2,300 a month. So this is definitely the more appealing option to me, even though it isn't completely passive, and I will have to put in some work to have this rental income over here on this right side. Okay, now let's get into some examples of various places we could live like a king. Okay, so to start off, let's go to Casas en Venta Ensenada. So this is just saying houses for sale in Ensenada. So Ensenada is pretty close to San Diego. It's probably one of the only places in Mexico where you can live by the beach and have nice weather year round. This is like San Diego weather. My favorite website in Mexico to look for homes is inmuebles24.com. And if you search for whatever city you're looking for, Casas en Venta, then that city, one of the top results is probably going to be Inmuebles24. Switch it to English here. We can scroll through and look at our various options. I've already picked out one place where I could see myself living. This home, it's in Ensenada. It's a nice looking place. We're looking at about 160,000 US dollars. Let's call it, after closing costs and furnishing the place, let's call it 180,000. So then we would have $820,000 left working for us. Let's take a look at some photos here. I really love this corner lot. It's an appealing place. I like that about it. Nice looking kitchen. It's fairly new, pretty modern. Okay, so you have a big old driveway outside, so you can park all of your stuff, your cars, your four-wheeler, whatever else you have. So this home, it has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 4 spots to park cars. Let's take a look at the map, see how far away we are from the beach here. Okay, the water's right there. So considering it's in Ensenada, I mean, it's not super close to the water, but you're probably just a few minute drive away from the water there. So if you're living in Ensenada, you have nice weather. It's one of the only places in Mexico where you can live on the beach or by the beach and have nice weather year round. So the coldest month of the year is December, where the average high is 68, and the hottest month of the year is August, where the average high is 85. So like for beach weather, that is really nice. Ensenada is close to the US, so this might be a place to consider if, like, let's say you have healthcare coverage in the US and you want to live close to the border. Well, then you could live here. You get all the benefits of living in Mexico. Like, yes, you might be spending $180,000 on your house. Depending on where you're coming from, that might still sound like a lot to spend on a house here. However, all of your daily life expenses are going to be a lot less than they are in the US. If you're online shopping for a home in Mexico, you might be thinking as you're going through there, hey, I was expecting homes to be cheaper, considering how much cheaper a lot of other things are in Mexico. Well, depending on where you come from, the home you buy in Mexico may not be a ton cheaper than where you're living in the US or Canada, but living in Mexico, where you're really going to save money, what allows you to live a really high quality of life at a lower price is all the money you're saving on everything else. Let's go over a few examples here. Your cell phone bill, maybe you're paying $70 a month in the US. Well, now you're paying $10 a month in Mexico. Your internet bill, you might be paying $75 a month. Well, for the same speeds, it's probably going to cost you about a third, $25 in Mexico. Electricity, where I was living in Phoenix, my electric bill was usually running me about $150 a month. And now it's more like $25 a month. If I want to go out for a nice dinner and drinks for 2 people at a nice restaurant in the US, That'll probably run me about $100. Here in Mexico, I can probably get a similar experience for $50 or less. Now let's say I want to go out for lunch at your average place. Well, in the US, maybe I'm paying $15, but here I'm paying $5. I recently had a physiotherapist appointment. I spent an hour with a physiotherapist. It cost me $24. Now, I didn't know how much a physiotherapist was in the US, but someone in the comments said that their copay in the US is $80. So the actual cost of physiotherapist is a lot more than that, but with insurance, they're paying $80 versus my $24. I go out for a dental cleaning here. I can usually get it for about 400 pesos at a nice dentist office. I've gotten it for as little as $10, but I wasn't happy with that experience, so I'm putting this one at 20. Let's say I want to go out for a cheap dinner. Maybe in the US, I go out to I don't know, Burger King or McDonald's or Chipotle, and I'm paying $12 after tax and everything. Well, here, I go out for tacos, and I get a drink. I get several tacos, and it cost me $4. I had an appointment with a cardiologist a while back. Now, I don't know how much it costs to go to a cardiologist in the US, but my appointment here in Mexico was $40. I put a $500 price tag on this because I didn't know, but I know it's really darn expensive. I want to get a 1-hour massage in the US, probably going to run me about $60 after tip. Here, that same thing is going to be about $25. Let's say I want to go out for drinks for 2 people. It's probably going to run me about $75 here, but you can get fancy drinks for a much lower cost here. So I have that at $25. A Costco membership here is $25 versus whatever it is in the US now. I think it's somewhere around $60. But as you can see, just about everything you buy in your everyday life is significantly cheaper in Mexico. So whether you have $800 a month to spend or $10,000 a month to spend, your money is going to go a heck of a lot further here than it is in the US or Canada. If you want to learn Spanish, my favorite Spanish course is on sale this weekend only, and it's only for the first 1,000 courses sold. So if you're interested in that, head on over to tangerinespanish.com. That's my affiliate link, and it will take you right there. Tangerinespanish.com, first 1,000 courses sold, go check it out. So what kind of life can you live on $3,000 a month? Well, I think you're going to be able to do things like go out for dinner whenever you please, eat at Michelin star restaurants occasionally, maybe even weekly. I think you're going to have a lot of money left over as disposable income to do whatever else you might want to do. Maybe you want to go out for drinks. Maybe you want to go do some shopping. Maybe you want to travel. Well, then you're going to have a decent amount of money each month to allocate towards those things. Now, personally, I like having free time. I hate cleaning. I don't like cooking. So I would be hiring, at the very minimum, a weekly housekeeper. Like for my house that I live in here in Querétaro, I pay 500 pesos a week, or about $25 a week, to have 2 people come here and clean for about 5 hours. So every week I get the entire house looking great. I get my laundry done. I get it cleaned inside and out, looking beautiful, for about $100 a month. Now, if I had a budget of $3,000 a month, if I wanted to, instead of that weekly housekeeping, I think I could pretty easily pay someone to be a full-time cook and housekeeper. If I had kids, a nanny as well. One of my friends in Querétaro, she has a full-time nanny that she pays 11,000 pesos a month. And this lady cleans her house every single day. She cooks all of her meals. And the nanny cares for her kid when she's not at home. And the kid is learning Spanish from the nanny and English from the mother. So the kid is growing up bilingual, and that runs her $550 a month. Now, if you have over a $3,000 a month budget, I think you can take $500 and put that towards having a full-time housekeeper, cook, nanny, if that's what you want. That's going to free up a lot of your time. Another one of my friends here has a full-time chauffeur. He pays this guy 15,000 pesos a month plus benefits. That's about $750 US. Call it 1,000 after benefits. This guy doesn't just drive him around. He's at his beck and call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He's basically his personal assistant. And yes, he drives in places. Yes, he can go out to a bar and drink and not have to worry about driving home because he has a chauffeur there waiting for him. But like if I'm over at this guy's house and we're having a party, well then he sends this guy out to go pick things up at the grocery store. He sends him to go print some documents that he needs signed, to basically just run whatever errands that he wants. And then like he comes back to the party and then he acts as the bartender and he's refilling our drinks and things like that. So it's basically a full-time personal assistant for about $1,000 a month. Now if I had a $3,000 a month budget, would I want to spend $1,000 a month on that? Probably not. But maybe if I can increase my returns a little bit, well then I can be making enough money that I would be comfortable doing that. Another place I think you could really live like a king in Mexico is Aguascalientes. Aguascalientes is both a city and a state, and I'm talking about the capital city of Aguascalientes. Aguascalientes. So let's go Casas en Venta Aguascalientes. Okay, then we're going to go to Inmuebles 24. And here we can go to buy. We can choose a price. Let's say we wanted under $200,000. Let's put the minimum at $100,000. We can specify the number of bedrooms, things like that, and click see results. Now, once again, I already picked out a place that I thought looked nice and that I could see myself living in. Now, I'm not doing a ton of research here. I'm literally just looking at each of these cities for a few minutes to find a place that looks decent, right? So this one is under $150,000. Let's call it $170,000 after we include closing costs and the price of furnishing the place. But it has 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. It's 162 square meters. What is that? Probably 17 or 1800 square feet. Let's look at some pictures here. So I mean, it's nothing super fancy, but I could see myself living here. I like the green here. I like the island. I like the open, spacious kitchen, spacious dining room area, living room area. I like that as well. The backyard, it's okay, but looks like a pretty decent place. Let's take a look at the location to see where in Aguascalientes it is. Zoom out a little bit here. So it's towards the north end of the city. If I remember right, Aguascalientes is a city of about 800,000 or 1 million people, somewhere in there. So it's a decent sized city. You're going to have all the conveniences of a big city. Some things I like about Aguascalientes is it's very affordable. Like I remember going there and just being surprised at how low a lot of the prices were for many things. I love that they had some of the best sunsets I've seen in Mexico. One of my favorite things about Aguascalientes is the people. It's known as La Tierra de la Buena Gente, or the land of good people, and that really is the case. Like some of the nicest people I've met in Mexico were in Aguascalientes. Something else I like is it has pretty good weather. We're looking year-round at highs in the 70s to 80s and lows in the 40s and 50s. Very pleasant weather year-round. Now, if you're living in Aguascalientes on a budget of $3,000 a month, well then you're living a very, very good life. Something else about Aguascalientes is it's known as a pretty darn safe city, so that's nice as well. I know a lot of people coming from the US or Canada have a lot of concerns about whether the city they're going to live in is considered safe. And well, there's very few cities in Mexico where I feel unsafe. Aguascalientes is one of the safest. By the way, if you're wondering how Laska's doing, it's been just over 2 weeks since her surgery now, and she's doing well. She's getting better pretty much every day, and she can walk basically normally now. We're going for longer and longer WALKs every day, and she's off of all her painkillers and all that. So yeah, that's going pretty well. It's still going to be 2 or 3 more weeks before she can get back to doing normal husky things, but she's showing a lot of progress so far. So now I've showed you a couple places on the more affordable end, but what if we go to a place that's not so affordable? Puerto Vallarta is a coastal city on the west side of the country next to the Pacific Ocean. It's absolutely breathtaking with the gorgeous waters. You have amazing sunsets there. Something else I love about it is right next to the city you have these lush, beautiful green mountains. So the views are breathtaking whether you're looking at the mountains or out to the water. Let's check out Puerto Vallarta and see what kind of life we might be able to live there. Casas en venta, Puerto Vallarta. Now, in a place with a lot of foreigners like Puerto Vallarta, Inmuebles 24 might not be the best real estate website for you, because in places like this, there's going to be a lot of websites that are in English because that's a lot of their clientele. A lot of their clientele are foreigners who speak English that are buying them. If we're going to Puerto Vallarta, we're going to need to raise our real estate budget. And yes, that means we'll have less money working for us, but let's see what we can find. I'm going to put the price at a max of 400,000 here. Okay, so let's try this. It's in Ojo de Agua, so this isn't by any means in the most desirable places of Puerto Vallarta, like Zona Romantica, Zona Centro, Amapas, anywhere like that. But for about $300,000, call it $340 after paying for closing costs and furnishing the place. I like the colors of it. I kind of like the design. It feels pretty Mexican to me, so that's cool. Now, I like the inside of it with those stairs and the stones. Yeah, I mean, I could see myself living here. But at $340,000, well, then you're leaving yourself less money to have working for you. So now you're down to like $660 working for you instead of $800, which means instead of a $3,200 budget, maybe you're only looking at a $2,600 or $2,700 monthly budget, which is still plenty. That's still more than enough, and you're going to be able to live a very good life, even in a more expensive place like Puerto Vallarta. So now you might have a place in mind that you really want to move to in Mexico, and real estate is a lot more expensive than some of the places I'm looking at in this video. Now, that isn't to say you can't live like royalty in those places on $1 million for the rest of your life, because you can get creative. Let's say you spend $500,000 on a home, but instead of just being a home for you to live in, it also has a casita that you can rent out as a vacation rental. Or let's say you can increase those returns that I was talking about earlier in the video, like that 4.69% on that index fund, or like 8% on real estate. You can get creative. For example, you could buy a large home that has 5 different bedrooms or something that you can rent out as 5 single units on Airbnb. And maybe you can get 15, 20% returns. Now, I'm not saying you can for sure, but the more research you do into this, the more creative you get. You could probably live very well in just about any city in Mexico on that $1 million, but it'll take some extra work. Okay, now on to option 3. Again, we're buying a home for $200,000. We're investing the other $800,000, but this time I'm going to do all real estate because I have a lot of experience in real estate, and this is what I've been doing my life. This is what I know. So forget stocks, forget anything like that. This is what I want to do. And I'm going to buy $800,000 worth of rental properties at a conservative 8% return. That's $64,000 a year, or over $5,000 pre-tax. Uncle Sam wants his 25%, and then we're left with $4,000 a month after taxes. So, I mean, $4,000 a month in Mexico. No matter where you're living, you're getting into a really nice lifestyle with tons of spending money. You're going to have a lot of money to go shopping, doing excursions, going out for fancy dinners at Michelin star restaurants, traveling, all sorts of things. You're going to live a really good life. But now let's say I've been in real estate and I can get a whole lot more than 8%. I know I can. I'm going to get creative with it. So what else can we do here? All right, on to option number 4. This is how you really live like a king on $1 million in Mexico. We're doing the same thing. We're spending $200,000 on our own home, and then we're going to use the rest of that money and buy an oceanfront rental. But this is like a nice house that I think I can split up into 4 different vacation rental units. And because I'm splitting it up and renting it out to 4 different groups of people at once, I think I can get a 15% return on my money, or $120,000 a year pre-tax. That's $10,000 a month before government takes their cut. And after 25% tax, we're looking at $7,500 a month. So at $7,500 a month in Mexico, regardless of where you live, you are living like a freaking king. Now, you're going to have a ton of disposable income to be able to have a house full of servants if you want it. And you could also say, forget about that $200,000 home. I'm putting all $1 million into this home, and I'm going to live oceanfront myself, and I'm going to rent out vacation rental units within my own house. Yes, I have this big old space that I have to myself, so it's like I have my own house, but the home is big enough that I can still rent out several other rooms in it, and I'm going to have a ton of leftover cash. So this is a range of different options that I could personally see myself using or considering if I had $1 million and I wanted to use that money to last the rest of my life, no matter how long I live. If we're looking at homes in Puerto Vallarta, maybe we just want to search in English, homes for sale, Puerto Vallarta, and see what comes up. Or realtor.com here. Here's an apartment for $365,000. So after closing costs and furnishing the place, you're looking at least $400,000. It's a 2-bed, 2-bath in Cinco de Diciembre, so it's pretty close to Zona Romantica, but it's not the most desirable location. Pretty good. Now here's another option in Puerto Vallarta. So $344,000, but it's pretty large. 3-bed, 4-bath, over 3,000 square feet. $344,000 though, you're probably looking at $380,000 after closing costs and furnishing the place. Now let's take a look at some pictures. I really like Amapas though. Amapas is nice. Yeah, I like the looks of this place. Looks pretty Mexican, pretty open. Yeah, this seems like a nice place. Wish these pictures weren't so small. It says Amapas here, 208 Amapas, but here in the description it says it's located in Colonia, Buenos Aires. And I'm not familiar with Buenos Aires, so I'd have to look that one up. Let's see where it is here. Okay, so here's Zona Romantica. Here, over here is Centro. Here's Amapas, and Buenos Aires is here. So you're a bit further away from the beach. This is probably up into the hills. So still a pretty decent location. Next, let's look at Merida. Merida is a city I really love on the Yucatan Peninsula. It has a ton of history. It has an awesome food scene. And Yucatecan food is some of my favorite Mexican food in the whole country. It's about a half hour from the beach. And it's a pretty sizable city that has a ton to do. So you're never going to get bored in Merida. But let's look at some properties there and see what we can get for our money. Casas en Venta Merida. Okay, pull up Inmuebles 24 again. Start scrolling here, see what's available. So right away, we can see that we're going to get quite a bit for our money in Merida. Here's this place for just over $100,000. It's over 2,000 square feet. You're looking at 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. For a little over $100,000, I think you're getting a lot of house for your money here. But let's see what other options are available. All right, here's another option. This one is a little over $300,000, so we're getting towards that higher end of the range that I'd like to be at. But this one is 450 square meters, so that's almost 5,000 square feet. You have 5 full bathrooms, 2 half bathrooms, 4 bedrooms, so this is a very large house. It looks like these are concept pictures, so it's going to be a pre-sale in all likelihood. Looks like it's going to be a very nice looking house. Wow. Look at how tall those ceilings are and that space. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so one thing I love about Merida is that you can get a lot of house for your money there. And now, it's not the cheapest city in the country by any means. In fact, I would probably consider it to be in the top third most expensive of the cities in Mexico. However, it's not like it's totally unaffordable or anything like that. Most things in your everyday life are still going to be a whole heck of a lot cheaper than if you were living in the US, for example. The last time I was in Merida, I went to this really nice sushi place. Like, this place, you walk in and you're like, wow, I'm underdressed. I ordered various rolls and they were all super fancy. This same type of roll would probably cost me $15 or $20 a roll in like Las Vegas or Phoenix. Well, here the rolls were $5 a piece. And that's pretty common, like to have eating out cost a fraction of the price that it's going to cost you in most major US cities. Well, let's see what other options they have for homes here. So here's one for about $150,000. Let's call it $175,000 after closing costs and furnishing the place. Seems like a nice little place, 137 square meters, so you're probably looking at about 1,500 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. See the inside here. Okay, it's a nice little place. What else? What other options do we have here? Okay, here's one in Merida Centro. Centro is a very popular place for foreigners to live in Merida. And by the way, Merida is a very popular place for expats. It's still a very, very Mexican city and only a tiny percentage of the population are foreigners. However, there are still a lot of foreigners living here. So this home is about $200,000. It's in Centro. Click on this here. You're looking at about 2,200 square feet. You can see that it has a pool. That's something about Merida. A lot of the homes there have a pool because that's how people keep cool in the summer. It gets pretty darn hot, so a lot of times you're really going to want that pool. But it has 3 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. That's something that's kind of funny. Like, I've noticed that here in Querétaro too, where I'm living, that a lot of the homes have more bathrooms than they have bedrooms. But let's take a look at some photos here. Nice looking place. Yeah, I like all of these rooms. I could totally see myself living here. Kind of looks like a concept though, so I think this is a pre-sale, which is a very common way to buy in Mexico. Like, they get all the plans and then they have people buy into them, and then as they get money coming in, that's when they start building. And by buying pre-sale, you'll usually get a much better deal than buying the finished product, but it also comes with more risk because you don't know what the finished product is going to end up looking like, or if it will actually ever be delivered at all. So if I were ever buying a pre-sale, I would definitely want to get an attorney to look into everything for me, making sure all their permits are in order and all that stuff, and all the title to the land and whatnot is how it's supposed to be, because there's a million things that could go wrong and you want a professional looking at that for you. But I'd also look into the developer and see what their history is and make sure past clients are happy with the work that they did. What else do we have here? Big old shared pools, nice outdoor spaces, nice gym, a dining area and pool tables. This is interesting. And places like this, they're always going to come with an HOA fee, or what they call a mantenimiento fee here. And it's, for a place like this, maybe you're looking at $100 or $200 a month. But those fees can go up and often do go up over time. So that's definitely something to consider if you're planning on living on a fixed budget for the rest of your life. So what is the most affordable city in Mexico where you're going to live like a total king? That is Orizaba, Veracruz. Now, I could pick some random small town on the map in Mexico, and yeah, that's probably going to be very cheap as well. But your random small town isn't going to have the infrastructure you want. You aren't going to have the shopping you want. So when I'm talking about the most affordable place, I want an actual city. And Orizaba is a city of over 100,000 people, so it's big enough that you have that infrastructure, that you have that shopping, your Walmarts and things like that, to make your life more convenient. Considering the size of the city, there's a whole lot to do in Orizaba as well. There's a bunch of museums there. There's a river walk with a lot of zoo animals lining it. There's a lot of murals and street art, which is pretty cool. There's a bunch of hiking nearby. You can even take this sky tram up to the mountain that sits literally adjacent to the city, and you have awesome views from up there. It's pretty cool. It's a nice place to go hang out, and there's even a little museum up there where one battle was fought in Mexico. It's a really cool city, and there's a lot to do considering the size of the city, and it is the single cheapest place I've been in Mexico. For example, I remember going out for breakfast there, and I got a complete breakfast with my entire entree, bread on the side, a coffee included, all for like 30 or 35 pesos. It was less than $2 for this big old breakfast. I remember going out for dinner at one place. I had a huge dinner for like $3 or $4. So you can eat out on very little money. It's just really inexpensive. It's probably the cheapest hotel I've ever stayed at. I stayed at the Hoyo there, and it was a decent little hotel, and it was only like $17 a night. So really affordable. But a place like Orizaba, it's a smaller city than some of these others that I'm mentioning. So like your housing selection is going to be more limited. So maybe you're going to have to put in some more effort to find a place that really calls to you. But it's a place that I definitely think is worth checking out. Right here, I'll link to my video from Orizaba so you can check it out. But before you go, subscribe to the channel and gong that bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. And I will see you on Saturday.